Hi, this is Dr. John Bergdorf. In this video, we're going to explore some very basic idea about sets. Let's start with what a set is. A set is simply a collection of objects called elements or members. Either word is fine. Sometimes we describe a set by simply listing literally all the objects that are in the collection. When we do that, we usually use what we call set braces to represent the set, and then we simply list the elements. So maybe the letters A, B, C, and D, and then we close it off with the same set brace at the end. When we do that, that is referred to as a roster. Simply listing the elements of the set completely. However, we can also describe a set in words with a description. For example, let T be the set of all Texas counties. So I'm not making a list. There are actually 254 counties in Texas. That would be a long list. We just simply give a description. And that's completely valid too. Now, there is one clarification that I need to make right away. For a set to truly be a set, it must be well defined. Well defined simply means that it must be absolutely clear which elements belong to the set and which ones don't. Let me illustrate that with some examples here. Which of the following sets are well defined? Set A is the set containing the elements 1, 4, 5, 11, and 17. I believe it is totally clear which elements are in that set and which elements are not. 1, 4, 5, 11, 17, those are the elements. I would say that this set is well defined. Let's look at example B. B, the set of all Major League Baseball teams. Now, you may not be an expert in baseball, so you may not know what all the baseball teams are, but it would be absolutely clear which elements belong in that set and which ones do not. So I think this is also well defined. Let's look at the next example, however. The set of all beautiful birds. Beautiful, what does that mean? And can we know for sure what birds qualify as beautiful or not? We might all agree that, say, cardinals are beautiful, but what if I think that vultures are beautiful and you don't? See, it's not totally clear what that means, and so it's not clear whether a given possible element belongs to that set or not. This would be an example of this is not a set. We can't call it a set because it is not well defined. If it's not well defined, it might be a collection of objects, but you can't call it a set. Here's another one. The set of all tall Lone Star College students. Same problem. What does tall mean? Is it totally clear when I pick somebody out whether they would qualify to be in this set or this collection or not? What does tall mean? So this one is also, I think, because of that very vague word there, not well defined. I can fix that pretty easily, though, by just clarifying. Look at E. E, the set of all Lone Star College students who are more than 6 feet tall. Now that, I can definitely tell whether someone belongs to that set or not. I simply have to measure them. So this one is going to be fine. That would be well defined. And a collection of objects must be well defined in order for that collection to be a set. A couple other terms and symbols. This symbol here means the phrase is an element of, and this one means is not an element of. So let's use an example we've already looked at. B, the set of all Major League Baseball teams, and see whether it makes sense to use one of these symbols or the other. Now, the Houston Astros are a Major League Baseball team, a really, really good one. So it would be completely fine to write that symbol and say that the Houston Astros are an element of the set B of all Major League Baseball teams. The Golden State Warriors, however, are not a Major League Baseball team. That's a basketball team. So they are not an element of that set. And I would use this symbol with a slash through it. That slash means a whole lot of things like we see all the time. No smoking, no parking, no whatever. An empty set is a set that contains no elements. There, you can have, now this is actually debated by some people. Some people will say, well, if a set has no elements, it's not really a set. But other people say, sure, that's a set. It's just a set with no elements. And we use one of these two symbols, either the set braces with nothing in them, or the circle with the slash through it to represent an empty set. So, what are some examples of an empty set? Well, let's use descriptions. Let's say the set P, and notice that many times we use capital letters to represent sets. You'll see that all the way through. What if P is the set of pigs that fly? There are no pigs that fly. Now, the set is well defined. It is absolutely clear whether something is in that set or not in that set. You can go through all the pigs in the world and ask, do you fly? And you can know whether they belong in this set or not. So it is well defined, but it has no elements. So this would be an empty set. Another one might be, let's call this one W, the set of all women U.S. presidents. Unfortunately, this is an empty set as well. One day, hopefully, we will correct that and elect a woman president, but to date, all of the presidents that we've elected have been men, and so the set of all women U.S. presidents is the empty set. I'm going to close off this video by mentioning 3 sets that are kind of famous and use particular symbols that are rather fancy looking. That looks like a capital N, but it is a little bit stylized. Whenever you see that, that represents the set of natural numbers. The natural numbers are the numbers that you count with that you learned back in kindergarten. Again, we'll use the set braces, but they are the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, the numbers that you count with. Now that set goes on and on. There's no way that I can list all the elements. So what we often do is use 3 little dots to mean continue on in the same pattern. Those 3 little dots, in case you want to impress your friends, is called an ellipsis, or you just say 3 dots, but it carries the idea of going on in the same way. 2 other famous sets, W, again sort of a stylized W, is the set of all whole numbers. And the whole numbers include all of the natural numbers, but also the number 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on and on and on. Again, using the ellipsis to mean continue on in the same pattern. And finally, the Z represents the set of what we call integers. Now, the integers are the whole numbers and all of their opposites, all of their negatives. This set then continues on in both directions, infinitely far, and includes the negative numbers, the negatives of the whole numbers, and the whole numbers. And that continues on and on and on in both directions. So I have an ellipsis on both ends. So those are some basic concepts about sets. We'll look into more involved concepts in future videos.